conversation. I need an interview, I'm trying to get down with you. I need an interview, I'm trying to get down with you. I need an interview, I'm trying to get down with you. Get down with you, get down with you. I need an interview, I'm trying to get down with you. I need an interview, I'm trying to get down with you. I need an interview, I'm trying to get down with you.
How's you on?
It's going. How are you?
You know, I'm blessed. Blessed that I just celebrated a birthday. I'm pretty low.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you.
Are you an Aquarius?
I am a Pisces.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm like right on the cusp.
Get down with you.
Let's just kick it. Welcome to the S.H.I.N.E Project, where your passion pays you. I am Zachary Deontay Penix, and I'm hosting today none other than Courtney Yau. I'm a well-established photographer and creative multi-hyphenate, and a bit of a jack of all trades. You know, a very moving person that doesn't speak a lot. So we're gonna see what she's hiding, what she has to offer, and what tips of the trade she has to kind of tell. You know, so you said you're feeling good. I guess let's look back for a second and think about, you know, whether photography or one of these other creative journeys, what was kind of a moment where you felt it being more than a hobby?
I don't think there was ever like a defining moment. I think just creativity was always just a big part of who I am. With photography specifically, it just was something that I always loved to do. It's just something I just simply did. I never was like, oh, I want to try to be a photographer and like actually learn how to take photos. It was just something I did naturally.
Yeah.
Like my parents got me a camera and I started taking pictures of like myself, my friends, and it never was like a conscious decision. So I feel like it was just like part of who I am. And kind of the same thing with hair and makeup. It just wasn't, you know, really something I kind of decided to do. It was kind of like everyone telling me, why don't you try this for like an actual living, and just kind of happened that way. So, yeah.
What has it kind of meant to you to see yourself transition to being able to fully do all of these things that you just recreationally did to supporting you?
I think that when you're doing something creatively, I feel like for some people it's hard to imagine really making an income that's sustainable on a doing creative things or things that are considered creative. But I feel like if the passion is there, it happens organically and it just happens naturally. I feel like when you really care about something, it just happens the way it's supposed to.
Well, that's definitely you can see a lot of they say a picture tells 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
There's never been a picture, whether you know, an actual shoot or, you know, somebody getting their hair done, somebody getting their makeup done. It doesn't have life in it that I see from your work. So there's definitely a message. What is kind of like a message you would want to streamline through all of these works that you do for your work?
I think as far as hair goes, that's obviously like my office job and my main job and my main, you know, creative source, I guess. And photography, it's kind of changed over time, kind of what it is to me as far as, is it like right now, it's just purely like creative and like a creative outlet outside of my job that's already creative, which kind of sounds weird. But I think that the message there is that if you really want to go for something and you really feel passionately about it, then you should go for it. And it's definitely possible to have a fulfilling career doing creative work, whatever that looks like.
How, because you said a lot right there. I want to touch on one thing before we move on. How kind of, you said photography is just it's almost like an escape for you right now. Even though you have this creative outlet, and some people just look at photography as just creativity. It's also, you know, a form of just expression, a form of release. How have you, you know, prioritize something that was maybe a bigger source of income and in some seasons to just let it take a back burner?
When I was in high school and I went to college for a year before I went to beauty school, that time of my life, it really was like a formal side hustle to do photography. Like I was doing a lot of engagement pictures, senior photos, just for like kind of, you know, spending money to like get me through being a student. But I found that the more paid work I was taking on, the less I started to like taking pictures, because it kind of took away from that. And it is such a privilege to be able to even like evaluate and say, you know, I want this to just be a creative outlet and I don't want to rely on this for income. So I think once I got to that point where I had the privilege of even making that choice, I really, you know, had to have boundaries and make sure that if I wanted to keep liking what I was doing, that I needed to stop relying on it for like side income. And thankfully with my job, I don't feel like that's necessary right now. But while I was kind of like figuring that out and starting out, I didn't really have like the opportunity to be able to make that choice.
Yeah,
So, but I think, and like I still kind of get caught up in it sometimes, like taking like commission work and stuff like that, paid work, and then I'm kind of like reminded like I need to slow down and either slow down in photography completely so that I feel like I kind of get like writer's block with photography in a way where it's like I'm not really like writing anything, but like a shoot will come up and I'll be like, I'm out of ideas, I can't think of anything, I don't feel inspired, and that's perfectly fine, it'll come back. But like I think just gauging when enough is enough, when to kind of like, which takes practice and I'm still practicing at, but I think it's really important to just feel in your body like when you need to take like a break, or when, if you can.
Yeah. That's a lot of self-awareness, though. That's a lot of self-inventory that somebody's got to do. It's crazy that you said writer's block, because I was just sitting here relating to it so deep. Like, I had the privilege of hosting a poetry open mic for a year residency, and throughout that time may have been the least amount of poetry I've ever wrote. Yeah, it started to feel like a chore, you know, it started to feel like something I was doing. It was paying, it was great, I was providing a platform, but it was looked at like work, you know, very much so, and not something that was, you know, so beautiful to enjoy. And writing is more recreational to me now. And so, yeah, I definitely believe in it. And keeping that passion, right? But, in the adaptability sense, do you still feel that same kind of fire for, you know, the hair and makeup?
I do. I mean, I feel like I see it, like my perception of hair and makeup is a little different, but it's mostly hair than makeup.
Okay.
I'd say it's 98% hair these days, especially.
Okay.
But I think even though my job is considered like creative and fun or whatever, even though a job is a job, I think that's just how I see it. It's like, you know, I'm really grateful to be able to say like I'm a hairstylist, I'm like a salon owner, but it is still a job, so I feel like I literally do see it the same way people see office jobs.
Yeah.
So I feel like as far as like adapting to like how I'm feeling, like burnout or anything like that, I feel like it's similar but just a little different. Where I feel like I kind of have less of a choice in a way, because I'm like, this is my actual job. And like a lot of other people, you know, I can't just like pick it up and put it down whenever I want. I again do think it takes a lot of practice and, like you said, self-awareness to be able to be like, you know what, it's time for a vacation. Maybe it's time for a staycation, actually, or like maybe I just need like 2 days off where I'm not doing anything. I'm not looking at my business phone. I'm not like, sometimes if I'm like on social media, I'll even press like do not interested on like hair reels and stuff like that, because I just need to like shut it off for a little bit. Yeah, I think it's important to know when that needs to happen.
Alright. Two-part question.
Okay.
Alright. What is like a really good, memorable hairstyle, or like hair appointment, and then what is a bad?
Oh, do I want to share that?
Right.
A good one? I mean, there's a lot of good ones. Well, that's the good thing. Yeah.
I apologize. Reword it so it sounds like. What is a memorable?
I know what you're saying.
What is a memorable one and what is an embarrassing one?
Okay. I guess like memorable is like nothing specific really comes to mind, but I feel like anytime I try a new technique, which lately I've been doing a lot of, and I see like a desirable outcome, then I feel like there's so much satisfaction in that, and that's memorable. To me, it's just constantly trying to be better. So anytime I feel like I'm kind of improving or like one-upping my skill or like mastering something that I've been trying to figure out, I feel like that's memorable to me. So I feel like that happens often, which is a good thing. But as far as embarrassing, I don't know. I don't think about that.
I think the question is more like, is there ever a time, you know, somebody's got up loving, you know, just loving what you just did, and you felt like,
I mean, that happens more often than I like to admit.
because it's like, you know, it's an art, right? You know,
Subjective.
a poem is done whenever the writer says it's done, and they never think it's done, right?
Yeah.
You know, the painting, that, you know, unless it's a photograph, and even then somebody was moving, the hair wasn't running, something that you see, right? And you say that more often than not is a pursuit for, you know, for more.
Yeah.
For, you know, that perfect product, right? So that's dope. But
And I think the thing about doing hair and makeup, I feel like art is, you know, it's never gonna be for everybody. Not everyone's going to like it, and that's kind of something you have to make peace with and kind of have a love-hate relationship with as an artist. Is like, you want everyone to like your work. You don't want someone to tell you they don't like it, but the reality is not everyone's going to like it, and that's okay. But I feel like with beauty-related things, it's not just whether someone likes it or not, it's also their perception of their own selves, and it's kind of how they feel, like if they feel beautiful, and like that's something I can't have control over. So it's like, I feel like that's the more unique aspect of doing hair and makeup, is like you're doing it on a person where they're also not just judging your work, but judging themselves in your work, and that can be hard to navigate sometimes.
and probably empowering too.
Yeah.
Really empowering, for sure. Is that also, you know, some of the rewards you see, or like what are some rewards you feel that just these outlets, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely just the most rewarding part of being in the beauty industry, is making other people feel beautiful.
Yeah.
I love when not just people feel beautiful, but when they feel comfortable, because I feel like that means even more. So when I've had clients say, you know, like, I've never returned to like a hairstylist or gone to somebody on a regular basis, or like, I feel very comfortable in your space, like that to me is more than just, you know, on a vanity level, like I'm glad you feel beautiful and your hair looks amazing, but do you feel comfortable? That's important.
What is to somebody just trying to find a creative outlet that they already recreationally do, something that you would tell yourself or tell them to lean into and trying to find an avenue for that to begin to support them?
Like in what way?
So you say, you know, you never thought about hair and makeup supporting or photography. Your mom just bought you a camera. Somewhere along the line, you kind of allowed it to support you, even though you still see a lot of these things as hobbies. You know, not so much hair, but you keep that passion and just follow it down a path, right? What did you listen to?
I think it's just following what makes you feel fulfilled and feel happy. I think at the end of the day, I feel like some people try to take the safest route and what makes the most sense, but really what matters is, do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel happy? Do you feel like this is really what's going to get you out of bed in the morning every day and feel like you want to go to work? I think that's what really like drives me, and what I would, like, advice I would give to someone else if they were trying to figure it out, is just do what makes you feel the most yourself, the most fulfilled. And to me, that's how you have a sustainable career, especially with creative living.
How long would you say you've now been, how many years have you been creating?
Well, I've been licensed to do hair and makeup and all that stuff for 9 years now. And photography, I mean, I've been doing photography since like middle school, but like, I feel like I started really doing photography maybe like junior year of high school. So,
yeah.
Probably, which would be like 2012. So it's a while.
Then, I basically, what do you think success meant to you then?
When I was like first starting out,
Yeah.
I think success was just, when you're starting out, is just, I think fortunately, but unfortunately, a lot of it has to do with like being a yes man, like kind of taking on jobs and maybe projects that you're not 100% passionate about, but like you need that experience. And it's also good to open yourself up to things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily choose, and then you might find something that you like.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like shoots and, you know, hair and makeup weddings that like maybe I wouldn't necessarily do now, or that I didn't necessarily want to say yes to then, but it gave me the experience I needed. So I think success is just having the willingness to put yourself out there and like get started, get some impulsion going, and then once more and more people were like, oh, I want you to do my hair, or like, I want you to take my photos, and I was kind of like booking up things, and you kind of see like the fruits of your labor, and then you feel like validated, and that's what keeps you going. But it's like getting started.
What is what is maybe a sacrifice that is overlooked trying to follow your passions?
Everything. I think, especially with creative living, you kind of do sacrifice a lot, you know. I think the difference between creative jobs or jobs that are considered creative and like maybe jobs in like STEM or something, like the difference there is like security, you know. So I mean, it's definitely risky to be like, you know what, I'm gonna start off with nothing, and like I don't know when I'm going to like see anything from this, but I'm just gonna like go for it. So I think, and like for me personally, I went to college for a year and then I dropped out and decided to take a break from school. And then I was like, I'll go to beauty school for a year, and then maybe I'll go back to school. And then I never went back, which I have no regrets. But like, I mean, if like an actual example is like sacrificing having a degree, like I don't have a degree, and that's, some might consider that like a huge risk. So I think for the sake of pursuing my dreams, and once I was like in beauty school and graduated beauty school and started my career and being like, I don't really need to go back to school, like that was a decision I made that was a risk and a sacrifice for sure, in exchange for maybe more job opportunity or security, but it worked out, so thank God.
Absolutely. Yeah. But they say one degree isn't enough anymore anyway, so.
Yeah, or two or three, yeah.
Or however many, you know. But no, I appreciate you so much for giving me some time and stopping in with the S.H.I.N.E project. If you had one last nugget of wisdom you wanted to share, something I just didn't ask that you really wanted the people to know about you.
Oh, I don't know, I guess just follow, you know, your gut instinct, follow your passion, no matter what that means and what that's gonna look like, and feel like there's short-term sacrifice for long-term satisfaction and fulfillment, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
It'll work out.
Delayed gratification, a long lost. Thank you, Courtney, so much.
Thanks for having me.
S.H.I.N.E project where your passion pays you.